What's up, baby? This is Deontay the Bronze Rumble Wilder. Make sure you tap into Black Authentic Truth for your latest news. It's great information, baby. Bomb Squad!
And I'm going to pull up, I'm going to read a little bit out of the book so you can understand these slaves in Louisiana that built these plantations like Nottoway, these slaves that are like the Sister Mary Reynolds. Where did they come from? Who were they? We're going to get some history. This is Black Authentic History, okay? This is from page 68. It says 2/3 of the slaves brought to Louisiana under French rule came from Senegambia, and they included a strong and influential contingent of Bambara. The French trade in Louisiana focused on Senegambia and specifically Bambara because in 1720, the Company of the Indies was given administrative control and a trade monopoly in both Louisiana and Senegambia. So the main people coming to Louisiana in the 1700s were from an area called Bambara. This is page 69. It says the French had little hope of trading in Angola, except with great difficulty. Although the Company of the Indies had a trading post at Judah, Gulf of Benin, there it competed with all the nations of Europe. The Portuguese were taking the upper hand at Judah. The kings of Ardes, Alada Porto or Porto Novo, were hostile to the Europeans and interrupting trade. The slave trade at Judah was becoming uncertain and unprofitable. It says the most important kingdoms of Senegambia maintained a tight control over which peoples could be enslaved and sold to the Europeans. It seems that during the 1720s, neither the Fobe nor the Mandinga sold their own people or allowed others to sell them. The Bambara enjoyed no such protection during the 1700s or 1720s. Now, some things to point out is where they were getting these slaves from. Judah. Also, it says that when it comes to these nations, they kept a tight control. These African nations, they kept a tight control over who could be sold or who could not be sold. They were not selling their people. Let me say that again. They were not selling their own people. This is a lie that the Europeans, the white man, America, have been saying for the longest. This is a lie because what it does is take away the guilt that they have for their involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. It's a little deeper than that. You do a little more research, you find out that, you know, people wasn't selling their own people. Okay. Now, the Bambara, what did the Bambara look like? I'm gonna pull up some stuff. Excuse me. What the Bambara looked like, right? It has already been determined, right, through historians that the Bambara were Israelites. They had a Hebrew dialect in their language. Their way of life was pastoral. Okay. And these are the main people that was coming to Louisiana. Now, let me give you some images of what Bambara looked like when the French first came and drew them. Bambara. Now, if you look at the woman right here, notice she has a coat of many colors. This is a Israelite custom. Okay, many people don't know that, but this is directly in the Bible. Joseph had a coat of many colors. This was a signifying trait of Israelites of wearing coats of many colors. Now, when you look at these two people, they look like Black Americans. Now, the Bambara is in Senegambia. Remember where we talked about the brother that came here in 1893 in the article from Texas, where he spoke and read, not spoke, but he wrote, he was able to read and write Paleo Hebrew, meaning the Hebrew of Moses's times. And he said that he came from a nation of 20,000 people that all read and wrote Paleo Hebrew and recited the law of Moses. Now, you look at the Bambara right here, they look like average Black Americans. They don't look like, you compare their phenotype to a Nigerian, they don't look Nigerian. They're like regular black people in America today. Now, in conclusion, what we can ascertain from the history and putting pieces together is that the plantation or plantations, but the plantation, Nottoway plantation that burned down 3 days ago in Louisiana was built by slaves. And those slaves were Israelites